Having discussed the definition of power, we now explore the distinction between two primary types of power, hard power and soft power. Soft power is any form of power that ultimately relies on the genuine consent of the individual on whom the power is exerted. Persuasion is a form of soft power because the person who hears an argument always has the option to voluntarily accept or reject the argument. If he rejects the argument, the exercise of soft power has failed. Any kind of economic power is also a form of soft power. An individual may attempt to influence another's behavior by offering particular payments or contributions, or by threatening to withhold such payments or contributions. But the recipient ultimately has the choice of rejecting the economic arrangement altogether, if he finds its terms so unsatisfactory as not to perceive an offsetting benefit to adhering to them. If he rejects the economic influence of another, an individual will not be deprived by that other of anything that he already owns. He will remain free to pursue the upkeep of what he already has, and the acquisition of more by other means. A further form of soft power is acting as a role model to others. A role model acts in particular ways, primarily for himself, but also with the intention that others emulate his example. Once again, whether an individual chooses to emulate another or not is entirely within his control. Role models can be productive or virtuous individuals who inspire others to achieve higher levels of productivity or virtue. But role models can also be value neutral, such as most fashion designers, or even detrimental to productivity and virtue, such as the idols of the contemporary public school youth culture. Hard power is the ability to deprive another individual of what that individual already has or owns, without that individual's consent. Hard power is therefore the power to harm another in his body, his liberty, or his property. The ability to inflict any kind of physical violence is a form of hard power, as is the ability to expropriate another person, either at gunpoint or through stealth. The threat of harm to a person's body or property is also an exercise of hard power. When a robber puts a gun to one's head and says, "Your money or your life," the victim will lose something he already has, irrespective of which way he chooses. Had the robber not chosen to exercise his hard power, the victim would have had both his money and his life, and would not have been forced to surrender the less valuable of the two. All forms of government regulation, taxation, intervention, and wealth redistribution are forms of hard power, in the sense that they deprive individuals of either their property, their liberty, or in cases of particularly oppressive governments, their lives, without those individuals' consent. When the government regulates, it forces individuals to choose which liberty they will lose, the liberty to undertake the economic action that is now forbidden, or the liberty to remain free from prison. When the government taxes, it forces individuals to choose to retain either their money or their liberty. When the government conscripts, it often forces individuals to choose to either risk losing their lives in war, or to lose their lives before execution squads. It is important to recognize that the government is not some warm, fuzzy, benevolent entity that is out to bring good fortune to everybody and to care for everybody. The power of government is fundamentally and necessarily hard power. And Mao Zedong was right when he said, "All power," referring, of course, to government power, stems from the barrel of a gun.